We're back and we're about to go into a TVP. It's going to be Mihu versus BoA. We just saw Ziki make it through Xuan, but it was impressive play from both sides. But now another TVP. We saw yesterday 2 back-to-back TVPs. And let's just say it was one-sided for the Protoss crew. It was 3-0 across the board. And it was just complete domination. But this time around, it's Mihu piloting the Terran race. And I think we're going to have a different result this time around.
Yeah, I agree. And unlike the Terrans from yesterday, Mihu plays in a specific way I don't see almost anyone play. Like, no Korean plays like Mihu, no foreigner plays like him. Because we see timings. Timings aren't that uncommon. But the type of timings he does just are completely unorthodox to me. And somehow, he always manages to get good trades out of them.
Yeah, like even the game versus John Hoon, who put a lot of damage onto Mihu in the early stages of the Goodnight game, he still had trouble stopping the attack. He ended up finally cleaning it up, but it was, I would say, a more successful attack than I was anticipating. But even after he cleaned it up, he still lost that game. So it seems like it doesn't even matter what you do to Mihu in the early stages. He's still somehow going to make a timing attack work. Now, BoA, he is somebody that does play heavy gateway style once he gets to 3 bases, if he knows that you're going to go for a timing. So I think this could be a very good matchup. I really do think BoA's got a good shot taking down somebody that plays like Mihu.
Yeah, I agree. Dandy, who plays very aggressively, but not exactly the same way. BoA has very good success against Dandy just because he has good responses to the timings. Just utilizes Reavers pretty well. Will get good trades in the early game. But against Mihu, completely different level. Gonna be tough.
Yeah, some people ask me what do I think the counter is to Mihu's playstyle, and I always tell them it's Reaver, dude. Like, you get 2 Reavers, and you just unload, and reload, and constantly fire those Garrett shots off. And if you buy time, that's the secret, is buy time and get all your gateways up and running and then overwhelm the army. So we'll see if BoA has the same inclination as I do. First map's going to be Eclipse. This is going to be a very tough map for both players. Let's get into game 1. Right, in the top right position are red and a Protoss player. It is BoA. Oh,
already sending out that probe, and in the bottom left we have Mihu.
I think this is in-base gateways. This is so fast. This was like right when the game started, he pulled the probe. I think he's pulling a page out of Cork's book. He's like, you know what? How do I avoid a timing from Terran? Okay, well, I'll just end the game before that's possible. And that is not going... Yeah, Nat Gate. And you do see this when you send out an SCV. You don't even have to poke into the natural to see it. Like, as you come down, you will just see it. But I'm trying to think, is Mihu somebody that scouts fast? If he's not, then this gate is 100% going to complete, and he's going to have Zealots in his base really quickly.
Now, I always wonder, as Protoss, do you follow this up with a gas steal? Or do you just...
Well, that's the thing, is I've pointed this out before, is when the probe comes in, this is the key thing. When the probe comes in, if they instantly gas steal you, you know there's no proxy. But if they screw around like this, alarm bell should already be going off that this is going to be proxy, because there's no reason for you to even give Terran an opportunity to potentially get that gas down. So already, if I'm Mihu here, I'd be sending out that SCV, trying to see if there's a proxy gate somewhere out in the center of the map.
Well, that SCV is actually pretty low. Let's see what the probe control is like. Well, looks like Mihu's going to replace the damage SCV with a healthier one.
There goes that SCV. It's too late, though. He needed to find this earlier. Did he really miss it? I think he did. Is this a sweet spot where you can't see it? I've faced this particular build often. Oh my god, it's barely out of position. So he has no idea that it's right directly outside of his base. And the counter to this is you need a second Rax ASAP. And we definitely don't see that.
Yeah, and, well, at least the SimCity is good at this point. We don't see additional depots. Yeah, there it is finally. So this other depot will help him out a lot, but I feel like this depot is actually late because he's gonna be supply blocked pretty quickly here, and the zealot is trapped.
Maybe that's why I've never seen the gate in that position. I was wondering, I was like, man, I've faced this before, and I always see the gateway. Well, now we know why, because the zealot is trapped, and Mihu's gonna come down to his natural and think, what? Why is there a gateway in my base?
Is that a bunker?
Yeah, it's a bunker. He's like, where are the units? He must be so confused right now. Think about it from Terran's perspective. You know this guy has no gate. Look, he thinks there's a nexus. He thinks there's a hidden nexus out in the center of the map or at top middle. He's got to be thinking, what the hell is this? And I like how Protoss just turns around. Okay, maybe not.
If I were Protoss, I would just, I would go back to my base and block the ramp, and then.
Oh my gosh! Well, this was a disaster for BoA. I think the move was genius, but he is obviously backfired. And oh my god, I wish we could get an interview. Like, look at this. He's gonna come down here and see the gateway, okay? Or he's not. But even if he sees the gateway, he's gonna be like, well, wait, there's no pylon here.
He loses the SCV, and now he's completely in the dark. Because all he has is, he knows there are two zealots, but he doesn't know where they came from.
Yeah, look, he's looking all over for it. He's like, dude, where is it? I know you have it somewhere, obviously, but you didn't poke with the zealot. You don't have a nexus. This is just the funniest game I've ever seen. I mean, Mihu's response has been perfect. He put down the bunker, which he needed to do. He's building more Marines, which surprisingly he does need to do. I don't know about queuing up 5 SCVs in his command center, but this SCV still has not found the gateway. He's even going into 2-fact because he has no idea what the heck is going on. He just wants to be safe versus everything. This may be even a defensive 2-fact.
Well, and from BoA's perspective, he's just playing in dark. Is that an eBay? I actually think he has to go eBay because he hasn't even, like, he hasn't seen anything. This could be Citadel, this could be Proxy Robo. Finally sees the gateway and sees that it has no pylon. Now, can he make the read that what happened was pylon?
Yeah. Why would you think the gateway's in your NAT? There's no reason to think it's in your NAT because, like I said, every time there's been a gateway in my NAT, you always see the gate. You always see the corner. Now he's going to come in here and see it. And he's going to be like, oh, well, there it was, but there's no pylon. Right, well, the game is going to, I guess, kind of stabilize. I mean, there's a defensive turret going up because, like I said, Mihu thinks that this is just the weirdest game it could possibly be. So even though the opener was a disaster for BoA, I would say at worst, he's like 45-55 here because his Nexus is ahead. He's got better tech. Terran has no siege mode or mines or anything. He already has an eBay. He built an extra turret, which doesn't help him right now. I mean, he's even got this weird Sim City set up with the eBay and the racks in the bunker to make sure there's like no DT run by because he's still worried about what the heck's going on.
Yeah, well, the add-on is upgrading something. Is that Siege? I think it's gotta be Siege. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to. Whenever you're Terran and you don't know what's going on, the first thing that's going through your mind is, okay, I need siege mode and I need an eBay because siege mode eBay shuts down everything. And actually, this attack, if he was to go right now, well, maybe not. The Protoss probably has range, so it would not be as effective as as effective as this army looks from Terran. But this attack could be pretty strong with the 3 tanks and 7 Marine support. More goons being produced. Robo's already done. I did not see support bay anywhere. I think I saw observatory, but that's an academy.
Something for Mihu is he never skips a beat with his SCVs. He's always constantly producing SCVs, even if he's going for timing. So you can see he still has a worker lead despite the faster Nexus from BoA.
Yep, and we do have gas coming down. Turret at the natural. This is great placement. Both turrets cover each other. Whoa, whoa! Okay, command center is going forward, and the Rax is going to the natural. Everything is just jacked up in this game. Nobody's gotten any. He's even gonna block himself. Oh man, this is just one of those games where it's like, okay, I realize I've messed up. I'm just gonna have to accept the criticism in the comments. Just how it goes sometimes. But 35 probes to 35 SCVs. This is a good position still for Terran. Of course, he has no idea that he's in an okay spot right now. Third Nexus going down for BoA though, and he does have 3 gate. He knows that Mihu likes to go for attacks, so there's no shocker there that he's not skimping out on gates. I am surprised, again, there's no support bay, because really, I'm telling you, Reavers is the way to go versus timings like this. And here we go, it's 7 tanks and 7 Marines. This is so strong.
You know, I saw BoA was actually making a shuttle, so I think he will go into Reaper. There's a support bay at the natural. But he needs to buy time. He needs to fight on these high grounds. He has the 2 Zealots to tank a lot of the tank fire, but he's got to be on the high ground when that happens.
Yep, he needs to. Okay, he needs to not go for a counterattack. I think once the tanks get into position with a bunker built, there's no way you're going to break it if there's an SCV here. But instead, he is going to go for the counterattack. I have to say this might end up working out simply because the Vultures don't have any mine set up. I don't even know if they have the upgrade. This is going to be another big base trade scenario, like similar to what we saw yesterday in the John Hoon Gypsy games. And if BoA can hold his ramp with the Reaver, he may be able to take a win. Remember, he's still got his 3rd Nexus up at top left. Doesn't have any probes, though. But Terran only has mines on the high ground right now. And it is hard to push into this.
Well, the SCV is actually doing a very good job here. 3 of these Dragoons are actually stacked on top of each other. That was crazy.
Okay, well, yeah, SCVs are doing a good job. That's even a second goon gonna fall. 3rd goon pop potentially could have fallen there, but he does deny the command center for now. Here we're gonna see an unload onto the Reaver. Needs to get off a juicy shot like that, but there's not a lot of support for the Reaver anymore. All the Zealots fell, all the goons fell. The Reaver did not shoot again the 2nd Scarab, so the tanks are gonna continue to push through. The Reaver still isn't firing, even though there's a Vulture right in front of him. He takes a big shot on his Reaver, and I think that this attack is just unstoppable now. He needed support with the Reaver, and he just doesn't have any. Oh, he knocks down a bunch of probes with that tank. He's got 11 kills. He desperately needs Zealots to support, but he just doesn't have any. He's unpowered. A DT coming out. He's desperately trying to get that out, but Mihu has a scan.
And even if one DT comes out, it's just going to eat mines and quickly get picked off. And all these tanks are still alive. There's a 2 HP tank there in the back.
Yeah, the tank may end up taking down all of the gateways, and if that one remaining gateway falls, I think there's just going to be an instant tap out. Yep, there it goes. And yep, GG instantly comes out. BoA knows he has no units in production, and he taps out. And that was an unfortunate game for BoA, I would say. I really do think he had a great counter, especially since Mihu never scouted it. But you can see why that gateway placement is never placed there. It just gets caught, and you can't do anything.
Yeah, I wonder if he... I mean, you gotta practice that, right? Or maybe the pylon placement was wrong. Like, if you would have made it to the right of the mineral line, it would still power that gate. Because not seeing that gate with Terran as you move out is actually pretty impactful, and really could have worked out for BoA, but just unfortunate that the pylon gateway placement worked perfectly against him.
Yeah, I would say the game still stabilized, though, because worker counts were even going into mid-game. It was a faster Nexus for BoA, so he did catch up. Terran spent a lot of resources on an eBay, second factory. They didn't necessarily want, and he floated his command center done, which obviously cuts into your SCV production. So, weirdly, it balanced out, but in the end, the army was just too strong for Mihu. And now we're going to be going in.
Perfect timing too, just before the Reaver's out. If the Reaver's out, you buy time with the Zealots and the Dragoons with the high ground, and then that game looks different. But just hit just before that Reaver came out, and the counter was a good attempt, but unfortunately SCVs are pretty strong and they stalled a lot of the Dragoon momentum, and he couldn't ever get up the ramp.
Yeah, mines delay you from getting in, and then unless you're going to turn those goons around, which he could have, it's just so hard to hold your ramp like that. I thought he was going to, because he had Zealots, which soak up a lot of hits, especially with the tanks having that high miss percentage coming from the low ground, but in the end, ends up being a Mihu victory. Now we're going to be going into Good Night as game 2, so let's get into that matchup. Okay, in the bottom right, our white Protoss, it is BoA.
And in the bottom left, we have Mihu.
Yeah, so, you know, actually after a lot of games that I win or lose, I don't necessarily check the replay, but I guarantee you, after that game, Mihu was instantly loading up that replay. He's like, I gotta see what that was. What the heck was that? And that's just such an unfortunate way for BoA to lose, because I really do. That is so hard to stop when you don't see it coming. You have no idea that it's right next to your base. But BoA not gonna get fancy this time around. Looks like he's just gonna go for a standard opener pylon in his main. Meanwhile, on BoA's side of the map, we're not seeing anything interesting from him. It's not gonna be like a 10-10-10 or anything unusual. Just gonna put the depot down. Imagine it's gonna be 12 gas, just the typical opener from from Mihu.
Okay, not gonna be a 12 Nexus. I was waiting to see if another probe was queued up. Because we've seen Mihu against 12 Nexus. He will bunker rush, even if it's cross map, so something to keep in mind.
Yep, and there is the racks. Nice position. And we're going to have the gas coming down for BoA right now. So everything's very normal. It's not going to be any of those meta builds where it's like Gateway Nexus, then Zealot. And there's the gas for BoA. Everything very, very typical from him. And this time around, Mihu not messing around. He's going to go for a fast scout on 13. Wants to make sure that there's not proxy gates in the center. I would be checking the center based on last game. But he's going to go for vertical scout.
And BoA scouting after the core. Sometimes you see Protoss not scout at all.
Well, if you aren't scouting at all, what's your general follow-up? Are you going one goon expand? Are you building a nexus, like off of nothing? Like, what's the reasoning for going for the no scout? What benefit does it give you?
Well, on some maps, particularly those that have 10 mineral patches, not scouting with the probe allows you to go core zealot without having a lengthy probe cut, so you can get everything. And then you can just scout with the Zealot and Goon and go from there. But on a map where you only have 9 mineral patches, and like on Ascension, that's a very common strat, but on 4-player map with 9 mineral patches, it's not really that impactful to not scout with that early probe. You don't get that much extra minerals. So that's why we see the probe scout here. And the Dragoon on the way with range. This isn't going to be some rangeless expand.
Yeah, this is I would say an older opener, a more safer opener, but a lot of Protoss players are trying to get away with as much as they can going for slow range, even robo before range. So this is more of a traditional opener from BoA. Mihu does sneak an SCV by, and he will confirm the Nexus timing more than likely, unless that probe can intercept and body block, which he's unable to do. And all he needed to do was see that Nexus and see that it started before the 420 mark is really what I look for. Because if it's at 420 or later, you know you're getting all in somehow. So he confirms it is just a normal opener. And Vulture does get intercepted. There's 2 goons here. May end up losing this Vulture. Wow, that's a big loss. Not only is he going to lose the Vulture, he's going to lose mine capability, and building a Vulture in the early game means obviously you have a late tank. So the goons can wreak havoc on this bunker for about 20 seconds longer than usual.
Yeah, that's actually pretty bad considering... Oh, he might even get... Okay. just barely even saves the SCV. One hit away there. Like the fact there's no vulture out on the map means Terran, I mean Protoss can just rally goons. You wouldn't see this if he had kept that vulture alive, even if it's just to hide it somewhere. The Dragoons always have to be kept back, but now this is gonna be a lot of repair. He's gonna go down. He's gotta be careful as well with this tank. It's 3 Dragoons. 3 rounds of shots will get this tank. Looks like Dragoon getting a couple shots in.
Yes,
gotta be careful with that low Dragoon. Just a little bit of a dance here. Looks like the tank actually took 2 shots. So now all of a sudden 2 volleys will kill it.
Yeah, so that was good control from BoA right there. Equally good control from Mihu. No siege being upgraded, so he is just going to be reliant on his micro for now, and it will get dangerous once this 4th goon comes in. And Mihu, posturing forward, does need to be very careful, because now the tank can get 2-shotted from these 4 goons. But with the 2nd tank out, I think it would be risky for BoA to go in. Meanwhile, behind this, BoA is just scaling into the mid game. You see he's got his robo done. He's got something at his nat. It's the observatory. There's the eBay for Mihu. Everything very typical for him. No second fact, no armory. And now going for the later siege expand or siege upgrade.
It's 5 goons now. This, he could dive on it. Of course, he doesn't have vision, so he doesn't really know what Terran's doing. If Terran even has siege here. Looks like that's a 6 goon coming with the first observer following shortly behind, I think.
Yeah, he may go into siege mode in just a second. If BoA pokes in at that moment, well, he's going to lose at least 1 goon. But for now, both players content with just sitting in their position. Nat gas going down for Mihu, and 2nd factory coming up. So everything looks very normal. There's the turret ring going down at around the time the observer gets to your base. May actually be able to sneak in the observer. Oh, he canceled the turret. He's going to build it forward, and I love this turret position. In fact, I do this quite often. You float the racks over top of it, and a lot of times the Protoss player is not paying attention, but the turret's going to be slightly too late, and that Ob is going to get in and be able to get a full scout off. Now he's going to come in here and see, okay, this is definitely typical Mihu. Academy's quite slow. There's no armory. We're going to see factories 3 and 4 coming up momentarily. So BoA's going to know that, hey, this is the same move he does pretty much every game. The one intricacy to what Mihu does is sometimes he attacks with it. Sometimes he just sits there and powers on it. So we're going to have to wait and see what he opts to follow up with.
Interesting for BoA to take the high ground farther away 3rd, and well, it's a much better base. It is farther away and harder to defend, but if you can get away with it, it obviously has its benefits. And we see BoA going into Reaver, and like you said, this is what's very good against Mihu's style.
Yeah, if you can ever take an engagement with the Reaver on high ground and out of vision, like at the bottom middle position, for example, you can definitely blow up 1 or 2 tanks before Terran can even respond. And if you're too far forward with your tanks, even goons can jump on top of it. So he does need to be very careful as he pushes. I like how he's floated the eBay to the natural already, so he can move it back into position to bottom middle if he needs to get a little bit of vision going into the high ground. He does confirm without scanning that there's no gas at the natural either, so he knows that this is going to be heavy gate, heavy units, not going to be like Arbiter or Carriers. I don't know about this. He's going to suicide his shuttle in here. There's already Marines in position, and there's no escape for this Reaver anymore. But it will buy time. It's going to stall Mihu's push, and he still has a Zealot to soak up hits from those tanks. That's a dead tank right there. This is nicely done from BoA.
Yeah, and he popped 3 Marines off the, like, right away. No anti-air now for Mihu, so now this shuttle can just stay here for a really long time. The Reaver doesn't have any more support, but it's always going to be there annoying Mihu. He's going to have to make turrets to eventually deal with this. And in the meantime, BoA has that 3rd fully saturated. One thing I gotta mention, Mihu, no matter what opening he does, he always makes SCVs. So you can see he actually has a worker lead against BoA. He has a very healthy economy behind this 4-5. Looks like the Reaver isn't going to be able to get away. Felt like he could have just hung around, maybe gone to the natural, try to get at least one more Scarab shot off. But now with the shuttle dead and one Reaver down, this is going to be a timing. And does BoA have another shuttle anywhere?
Well, he needs one, and he needs to get his speed up and running. He does have another shuttle. That's what you were looking for. And now Mihu, it's all about the angle he takes. Luckily, he gets those vultures on the high ground before Protoss can get into position. But now he's still going to be attacking uphill into... Okay, well, this is what I was talking about. You get the Reaver into this spot. Look how one Reaver and one Zealot pushes the entire army off of the high ground. It's crazy how strong a single shuttle with Reaver and a single Zealot can be. I would say that BoA's missing a little bit of an opportunity to just pounce on it instantly, but still a fine position for him. Yeah, he's getting his second Reaver. He has 7 gate production and Citadel. Oh, I thought the speed would be farther along, but I still like his position right now. He's got about a 20 supply lead. He needs to go with the Reaver, though. Where's the Reaver? It's coming in now. Zealot's get on top of the tanks. Goon's coming in. Double Reaver. Oh, this is going to be a massacre. The Reaver gets off good shots onto the tanks, and you can see why Reaver play is so strong versus Mihu, and I've been waiting for
that one mine. Oh my god.
Yeah, that one mine almost connects onto the Reavers, which could have been devastating. But I've been waiting for this for more than a season to see somebody bring Reavers into Mihu style, and you can see why 4-fact, 5-fact timings are so hard to make work. BoA is going to commit to it. He still has a lot of goons left over. Remember, his speed is going to finish pretty soon. The Reaver's getting to the sweet spot. Only one tank is able to connect. That's a heavily repaired tank on the top side. SCV's body blocking the Scarab duds. I can't even believe it. But there's still so many Zealots here. Triggering a mine hit is the Zealots, but actually Mihu barely survives, and he's almost got a supply lead right now. But that could have been game ending if that Reaver shot could have connected onto those SCVs and that single tank. I have to say that the probe count, it makes me a little worried for BoA, because 43 is okay on 2 bases, but for 3 bases, it feels a little skimpy.
I feel like BoA really overextended there. That one Scarab could have changed the outcome of that fight, though. He would have gotten that tank and like 5 or 6 SCVs. But now behind this Mihu, it's just gonna sit back and take a third. And if you look, he hasn't stopped SCV production at all. So he actually has a very healthy economy. The only thing he won't have is upgrades. He's gonna have really lackluster upgrades, but
yeah, and this is the difference between Mihu style and another well-known factory timing player such as 4GG, where 4GG cuts a lot of SCVs to get up a 4-fact ASAP. But Mihu, he doesn't cut ever. So you hold the attack, you're feeling like, yeah, I stopped the attack, but the problem is now Mihu's gonna go from 2 bases up to 4 bases really quickly, because he loves to double expand behind this. And that 4-fact is all of a sudden gonna turn into 8, 9 factories pretty quickly. And the probe count is nowhere near the SCV count. I realize Protoss has had a 3rd base for a long time, but if we were to exit the game right now, the resources are probably pretty close to similar. Also, BoA's not mining his nat gas. He's just now getting it. So there's no Stargate, there's gonna be no Templars for a very long time. He just doesn't have the gas to support units like that.
Well, because of that worker difference, I actually think BoA has a pretty significant army advantage here. The turrets will make it annoying for the Reaver to get right up on. You see this double shuttle.
Oh, Reaver in the back gets off a good shot. The tanks instantly take it down though, but the Goon focus. Oh, the Zealots cleared up all of the tanks almost. There's only 3 remaining. The barracks in the front soaked up a lot of shots, but BoA move commanded to get through the army. And as you stated, the army advantage for BoA is massive. Even though the supplies were close, there was like a 20 worker advantage for Mihu. So actually it was a huge lead for BoA, and he's pushing through. There's no tanks left over.
Might even get this command center one more goon shot. Looks like it's gonna burn and explode. And well, now Mihu is actually in massive trouble, because you can see he has 7 ESCVs. He's super saturated main and natural, which means they're about to mine out here.
Yeah. And he sees that the mineral only is going up for for BoA, so that's going to be 4 bases. He's going to have to rebuild that command center, and as you stated, he's super saturated. That natural only has like 1 minute left of mining. Usually you see Zerg or Terran players mining out their mains at about the 17-minute mark. He's going to mine out like 15:30. Here comes another Zealot bomb on top of the tanks. There's only 2 more tanks behind this, so the goons are going to move into the natural. There's nothing to stop them. Zealots are going to eat up a lot of the mines. Oh, goodbye dropship.
Dropship's dead. One of the tanks has gone down. He still has a couple tanks on the high ground, but Natural's not getting breached, and BoA behind his 4th base. He has Archives tech.
Yeah, it's just endless units. There's so much production from BoA right now. He's at 55 probes, which is a decent probe count. It's a good probe count for as many bases as he has right now. He's still building probes as Mihu. He's like, you know what, man, I need more probes, even though I'm about to be on 1 base mining with just my mineral only. He desperately needs to get actual fighting power. He has so few tanks. It's just 3 right now. Zealot man again, gonna try and unload on these tanks. He can suicide Zealots and make trades like this because he knows that he's got the eco advantage. He knows Terran's so low in eco in just a second that he can afford to suicide a little bit, but he needs to be careful because now Mihu has almost a 30 supply lead.
Yeah, but BoA's ramping up, adding more gateways. He still has Reavers. He has High Templars. Can even expand again. I feel like Mihu has to go for a double expand. Just 1 more base. Maybe he can slow crawl, take 6, secure that high ground. I feel like that's the only way he can get back in this game. His tank count is slowly growing.
Well, now that Mihu's building up his tank count again, I am getting a little worried, but if there is a storm drop and it is able to connect on these SCVs like it might just be able to, let's see how many he can get. Remember, he's at 71 SCVs, now down to 54, 53, under 50, so that was a almost 25 worker kill, single storm drop, absolutely decimating Mihu's economy right there.
Looks like we have the science facility complete, so we should be working on 2-2 upgrades.
2 should be on the way. Okay, +2 is about halfway done for weapon. +2 armor, about 25% or so. Supplies are now even, and there's the 4th command center. And actually, what I was about to say before the storm drop happened is, I'm actually kind of worried now for BoA, because even though he's got the 4 bases, it's not him having a 4th base or 5th base at top right. There's no mass gates, and we know how deadly Mihu is once he gets into a groove, and it seems like he's now stabilized the game, sitting at around 150 supply. I realize he's not mining as effective as Protoss. Like, I know that for a fact, but mid left is about to be up and running, and he's still got a ton of SCVs left over. He's still at 50. That's fine for 2 bases.
Yeah, somehow Mihu always does this. Like, he goes from a position where he looks completely boned to all of a sudden he's okay, and it's going to come down to the fights. And something he excels in is having really good engagements.
Yeah, he always trades so effectively whenever he doesn't get caught off guard. It looks like the early stages of the game he got caught off guard a little bit with those attacks, but now that it's kind of stabilized, oh, this might be one of the few times that Mihu is ever out of position. That's a massive SCV transfer, at least 20 SCVs up there, and there is a Reaver in there. I think there's even Templar there. The Gateway army is going to catch it, but the Reaver's not in this army anymore. Neither is the Storm. Okay, the Storms do unload, blanketing all of the Vultures. Those are massive hits. A lot of the Zealots got evaporated, but that's a lot of goons left over and not that many tanks. He's going to try and focus down these tanks too. Defensive matrix holding strong, but in the end, when it's 20 goons versus just 5 tanks, goons are going to win that.
Absolutely massive storms from BoA there, blanketing a lot of the transferring SCVs, a lot of the Vultures that were supporting the tanks, and he was able to win that fight pretty decisively now and completely flip how this game was looking, because now he has a 5th. He's making more probes. He's going to get another gateway farm at top right, and Mihu's 4th has been denied for the meantime. And on top of that, he cleaned up a lot of the tanks. So even though Terran has 2-1 with 2-2 almost complete, you can see he doesn't have his natural anymore. He doesn't have a main, and his tank count is in the single digits again.
Yeah, now finally Protoss is getting the right side of the map, and now he's really got the big eco because he's got nearly 65 probes. That's when I would say that the real Protoss big swell of econ will start kicking in. More Templars coming out, +2 weapon already done for Protoss, so that's great for him. He's matching the upgrades of Terran. Meanwhile, still only about 10 gates or so it's still not an overwhelming amount of production just yet. If he can stabilize mid-left, which he may end up doing right now because there's a lot of tanks on high ground, he's still in this game. But BoA not relenting here. He's setting up for another attack. There's not very many mines here. All the vultures are out of position.
Coming in from with that shuttle, getting on top of some of these tanks. The tanks on the high ground are going to be very hard to engage. He does have Storm. That Storm hits 3 tanks. He needs another one to clean them up. It's like Mihu just barely holding on here. There's that second Storm.
Yeah, he gets 3 of the tanks in the backline, but look how effective Terran is trading with just a skimpy amount of tanks. Like he had, well, he still had a decent amount of tanks at 10, but it wasn't, you know, like 20 or something, where obviously you're never going to break that. He traded very effectively, and there's a 25 worker lead for BoA right now, so if we factor that into the supplies, it's about a 30 army advantage for Protoss right now. But Terran's army is just flat out stronger the later the game goes on, especially with mine support. BoA's going to try and find the angle down at the third base. There's 3 tanks in a pretty good spot, a decent amount of mines, good SimCity with the depots, a tank on high ground, multiple vessels with EMP, with D-Matrix. There's an EMP, hits one of the Templars, doesn't get the bottom one though.
Yeah, but I think Mihu's pretty secure now. The problem is his main and natural are mined out. This isn't 4-base Terran, just because they have 4 command centers. This is really only main and natural. There are mines there. I think BoA realizes it. That's why he didn't unload, but also some mines here at the bottom. Shot on Reaver got taken out there. So, at least for the meantime, Mihu economy pretty stable here.
Yeah, still forced an SCV pull, and this is what I like. Whenever you're in a dominating position where Terran cannot attack you, take bases on their side of the map. Even if it's gonna die eventually, if you mine out bases that Terran wants, where can they go? Like, let's say BoA had taken top left instead of top right, for example. What's Terran gonna do in the late game? Expand to top right and play a diagonal split map game? That is so difficult to play. So I love how BoA is now starting to take top left. He needs to get some cannons up, but actually Mihu scanned it instantly, and he's gonna cancel this with a huge amount of vultures.
But here comes another storm drop at that new base. Oh!
He got one of the Templars with that mine connection, but the Templar has double storm, still gets a decent amount of SCVs. Vultures at top left are now going to die because Goons reinforced, and that means that this is 100%, 20 supply down the drain for minimal damage from Mihu. He may be able to cancel the Nexus, but maybe not actually. He's going to try and just engage here and get as many Goon kills as possible. But needs to be careful. Okay, he lost 4 Goons. That's very worthwhile for these Vultures.
They're even going to come again and sandwich these Dragoons now.
Oh, I was not expecting this. I did not expect 20 Vultures to end up overrunning about 10 Goons. So this army got way more effective than I anticipated. Still a massive supply lead for BoA. If he goes for the third base right now, there's very minimal defense, and he knows there's about 20 supply at top left. So that's exactly what he's going to do. There's only a single mine there. All of the defense is at the mineral only, and this 4th base is not long for this world.
So those Vultures out of position at the Nexus at top left, and the rest of the army was actually defending the closer Protoss base at that mineral only. But now another lift. SCV count, I mean, it was at 40 something, not down 27, almost 20 SCVs killed. And I think BoA is just finally running away with this now.
Yeah, this is finally the move that broke the camel's back. There's just no eco anymore for Mihu. He's been very low eco for the majority of the game, but now just on the mineral only, he has almost nothing left really to rely on. He's got a lot of gas, but you need money. You need actual minerals to be able to build those tanks.
Yep, on his final 6 mineral patches, he's never been able to get more than 7 factories. I think he was on 6 until he finally remade this barracks. And well, near max here. This army might get killed, but BoA's gonna have another army ready. He even has arbiters now.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if we had any high-tech units in. The answer is yes. The Arbiter is ready and waiting once he gets that recall energy to swoop into the main, potentially, and go for a deadly recall. Big Storm connects onto about 3 or 4 tanks right there. Command Center did not die, so he's going to reposition and put that down. But as you stated, the SCV count, it's not 40 anymore. He can't even resaturate its base in an instant. He's going to transfer some of his SCVs, but he needs to build about 10 more SCVs or so to actually get this 4th base fully up and running.
those vultures and mines at top left got way more value than expected, and looks like Mihu is just gonna sit back and really try to remax. Actually, he's been so much suffering in his economy that he hasn't even been able to afford +3 weapons.
Yeah, he's still stuck on 2 O, which is a bit worrisome when Terran's already at +2 armor, but when you have a massive eco lead like this, it's not a big deal, obviously, and here comes potentially the killing blow. But remember, he's got EMP. He could connect this, and he does not! He misses it by just barely, and that's a huge recall. Big mine hit on the top side twice, but this command center should eventually get focused down here. Zealot's getting on top of all of the tanks, but those mine connections did a ton of damage, eviscerate all of the Zealots. Another big mine connection connects onto the goons. The SCVs may actually be able to repair this command center. No, not able to, and that's going to put Mihu pretty much all in. He doesn't even have any, he doesn't even have 400 minerals to rebuild a command center right now.
I like the recall with the shuttles. Those shuttles quickly went to those low ground tanks and cleaned them up, and that allowed the Dragoons to kill the command center. It looks like Mihu is gonna go for it. He's gonna go for an attack. Even if he kills the main in natural, there's already gateways set up at top right. And attacking like this with the army split, not having the tanks in siege mode, when he needs an EMP, looks like those finally land.
Well, I have to give credit to Mihu here. He maximized the amount of damage he could possibly do with so few units. I mean, look at this. He has almost nothing, and he did maximum amount of damage. But well done by BoA. He puts a win on the board for Protoss versus Mihu, and you don't see that often. In fact, I don't even know if a single Protoss has beaten Mihu one time in the BSL. So nicely done from him, and it was well executed.
That was very impressive with the Reaver control, and unfortunate there for Mihu, but I still think you gotta feel good as Mihu, because even though you lost your 4-fact, you lost a lot of army, you still made that into a very long game.
Yeah, I would feel good if I'm in that position. And in fact, I think what Mihu should consider now is show the 4-fact, show the 5-fact, and then just sit there, man. I mean, if Protoss is going to sit on 43 probes, hey, if you want to all-in me as Gateway Man, I am more than happy to face off versus Gateway Man with low probe count. That is perfectly fine. So I think we may see that adaptation from Mihu going into Game 3. It's going to be his pick also. So we've gotten Eclipse done. We've gotten Good Night done. What's left on the board? We've got Monopoly. That's a fantastic Terran map. We've got Butter. I'm expecting to see one of those 2 maps, assuming that they're not banned. Well, where do you think it would? Oh, go ahead.
You're right. If he can see the replay and see BoA's response to the 4-fact timing, then he can change how he approaches the mid game, because he could just sit back, make a 3rd command center. He had like a 15 worker lead at one point there, even with the BoA being on 3 bases. And if, as Protoss, your response is cut probes, get gateways up, which is a good response, especially against 5-fact, because 5-fact is a little bit more committed. But against 4-fact, if Terran doesn't cut SCVs, then all of a sudden you're just behind economically, your tech's late, and even though you have an extra base, you don't even have a better economy.
Yeah, and no shocker to see this map coming out. It's Monopoly, a very hard map for Protoss. So let's go into game 3, see who's going to go up 2-1 in the series. Okay, in top middle, our Chinese champion, it is Mihu.
In the mid-right spawn, we have BoA.
Yep, and you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking to see how or what Mihu does in his main for the first couple minutes, because remember, Quark proxied in his base. First game of the day, there was a proxy at his natural on Eclipse, and I'm sure Mihu's considering like, okay, well, this could be proxy again. It would be so funny to me to see him scout his main all around to make sure there's no proxy in his base. We see that's not the case, because it is just going to be a forward gateway.
Like, that reminds me of a couple things. One, Destination, where there's so much room in your main.
Yeah.
The proxies could literally be anywhere or at your natural. And then another one is the map Outsider, where certain spawns you can actually see the minerals as Protoss, and then know if Terran's there or not, and then proxy. I remember Bonif doing that against Scan, but somehow Scan got the leg up and immediately went for the proxy double gateway. Like, he didn't even scout them. He just sent Marines and SCVs to go kill them. Like, somehow he got that sixth sense that there was something going on, and he went for it.
I mean, sometimes you just get a feeling like that something's going on, and I guess that was a good read. I've only seen one person hold, or one game hold, in base proxy gates. It was from TSL Season 1, maybe? Major, who's now special in StarCraft 2, versus JF, aka Giant Faye, and it was an immaculate hold, one of the best holds I've ever seen. And I have to say, Mihu did not scout his base, just something I was paying attention to. So if there was proxy gates, again, we would have had probably another death sentence in this game. But game is going to go on as usual. Forward gate. Oh, actually, probe found him first. So what's this second probe doing?
This is interesting.
You think? I think this might be proxy 2 or 3 gates with DT follow up.
This to me is proxy. Well, it's either proxy Robo. If he's getting if he's going this close via air, it's gotta be proxy Robo. It could also be proxy Citadel with a second gate. So, because DT hits at a certain timing, but if it's proxy, then that hits just before the turrets are up, and it can really catch Terran off guard. So the fact, like, Mihu, can he scout that there's no third pylon? This is all very important, and really nice SimCity here though.
Well, what's crucial here is BoA built an additional pylon that he doesn't need right now. It's the third pylon, as you stated. So everything looks normal right now, and there is the proxy Citadel. And I don't know what that unit is in the center of the map, but the SCV is chasing it, or at least running away. So he's left the base. He has no idea where the pylon is, and he has obviously no idea that there's a Citadel at the left side. Now, we have to think back to the previous games. Mihu did build a Vulture, and he did send it out. Now, if he has the game sense, similar to like the Scan Bonnet game you were talking about on Outsider, he may, for some reason, just send it over to the left side of the map.
Yeah, and there's a proxy second gate, and this is absolutely critical, because these DTs will come from an angle you don't expect, and they'll hit at a timing you also don't expect. This one Dragoon not doing his job and actually gets stuck. Probe gonna try to block the ramp, but it's just too late, and now this should be triggering alarm bells in Mihu's head. Like, where, for one, why is there no Nexus? 2, why is there no second gate? 3, why is there no third pylon? All of this is really suspicious.
Yeah, and range was not spinning. Cybernetics was not spinning at all. And even the SCV comes down and sees that the Nexus has not started. And what did I say? If you see no Nexus by 420, you're getting all in. And you're definitely getting all in when you scout and see absolutely nothing in this guy's base. However, this is a misread from Mihu, because he's putting down a command center when he desperately needs an eBay. And this may be a fast second game victory for BoA, unless there's vultures and mines coming out, and
That's
it's not.
Tank. That's a tank. That's mines. But he's gonna go. Is he gonna push? The thing is, this is gonna be so many DTs. He has 3 gateways here, 2 of them proxied. So even if he lays mines in the predicted path of DTs, the DTs will just come from a different angle, catch him off guard. He's just gonna follow us up with an FD. There's no expansion. BoA can just retreat back into his base, make 1 DT, and then nothing can be accomplished. First 2 DTs already out, and then look at the mines, how they've been placed.
Yeah, and the issue here is even if the mines connect, there's only 1 factory production, which they're also not going to connect. DT gets in. He needs to make sure both don't take hits. One takes the first hit. Second one is going to get in. Second factory is going up, but the eBay just started. And he needed that to be the second building, not the second factory. The DT from the main is going to move out, and we make it into a weird scenario where we could have a base trade, because once that gateway falls, there's no production for BoA anymore.
Okay, sending back that 3rd DT that came up.
Oh! He gets all of the vultures, he gets all of the marine, but the DT in the main got pushed to the natural, and that's kind of a big deal because now he's going to run into another mine. Does not die, actually. Oh no, he's going to take a big hit there, takes a big hit there. And these DTs, even though they shut down the nat, have not done game-ending damage. It's still obviously annoying, but there's 2 fact production now. There's a eBay completed. He may actually get a turret up.
One thing I want to mention is somehow these DTs all took full damage, because if you're running away from a mine when it hits, it actually only does half damage to the DT, which is a small unit, and then also takes half damage, so it's really reduced. That's why you see DTs sometimes surviving even 3 mines, but most of the DTs went down to 2, but that's a huge connection, and that was the damage he was looking for there.
And he just narrowly escapes that second mine in the back, so he does get crippling amounts of damage now. Mihu still has double command center, but the DTs have not ended the game just yet. Okay, now they might, because it's forcing a liftoff. Hold position, DT. Tank is isolated. There we go. I was waiting to see if we had scans anywhere, and the answer is they're coming. They're in production right now. Tank's going to get taken out by this DT. And behind this, BoA is going to get his Nexus up and running. He may even shut down this comp set. So he's only going to have 1 scan because he's not building one in his main, or actually no scans because he's not building one in his main.
And now the Dragoon rally should just deny this natural forever. Yeah, there's the liftoff. Worker count, 10 worker deficit with the natural already up for the Protoss. And yep, I think BoA's done it. This is... Oh my god, that 1 DT.
Yeah, he tried to get greedy there, try and take out all the vultures. Ends up losing its life. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Whoa, did you see that?
Yeah, he swiped it and it didn't die. It was in the process of unburrowing. So a misswipe there. Mihu's going to play it out, but he's down 13 workers and he only has 17. So this is a big difference compared to last game where he had an overwhelming worker lead. Goon's coming in, and that's going to buy him a lot of time, or preventing the vultures from coming down the high ground. Starport coming in. I mean, that's kind of your only option here, right? You need to get something done. So I don't fault him for going for vultures here. Or for a drop.
Yeah, because the Robo's actually quite late here. It looks like he wanted to go in there, but with just mines and 1 tank, it'll be enough.
Well, Mihu does push the Protoss back for now. Behind this, I did see Robo going up in Mihu's, or in BoA's main, so he's going to get Observatory up, get potentially Reaver up. But for now, game has, or well, Mihu has survived for now, but BoA is in a fantastic position. I would say he should consider taking a 3rd base, but with the dropship out on the map, that may actually surprisingly be an overextension. If there's a fantasy drop like the 2 tanks and 4 vultures, he could easily pop a Nexus if it is too far away from his units.
I think BoA is going to take that 3rd. He's fully retreating. These 2 gateways are pretty far out of position. I think they just got scouted by an eBay.
Yeah, the buildings finally get scouted. We do see the 3rd Nexus going up nearby. I love that from BoA, especially since we know drop is out on the map. If he had taken bottom middle, for example, with the pylon wall, it would have been hard for him to actually defend that base and also keep all of his units on the right side of the map. So if there's a drop in the main, like we're about to see right here,
Is this carrier?
it looks like it's going to be carrier. We didn't see Citadel anywhere, and I think this is a fantastic choice. However,
Whoa, it's goon range.
Yeah, it's goon range, but I think this is going to be carrier follow-up. Vultures into the... Oh, wow, Arbiter Tribunal. Oh, I forgot all the text on the left side of the map. Well,
Yeah,
this is...
Without goon range, the Dragoons are going to take a little bit of time to get this good transfer there from BoA, really minimizing the amount of losses. But I mean, this has gotten like 6-7 probes, so good drop there from Mihu. Not going to save these vultures, and at least he gets the scouting information, so he knows BoA is going to go into Arbiter. And that Archives actually is going to go down. So Citadel and Archives will eventually have to be remade, which is annoying. It's 350 gas, so pretty expensive. And are we gonna see any follow-up drops? Maybe. Looks like only 2 tanks. I guess the biggest problem is, yeah, he only has 2 tanks, and it's gonna be very difficult for him to get anything done. I think he just has to sit back and, yep, Protoss is just gonna have really fast arbiters before you can actually do anything.
Yeah, and this is going to be so hard for Mihu to deal with, especially when he's down so many workers. And in fact, I would like to see Mihu build a second dropship, go for like 3 tank drop plus a couple vultures, and then a couple vultures on the low ground to elevator in. And then also make a move like this, which we know he loves to do, is send vultures across the map, try and draw units out of position. And with 3 tanks like that, I mean, he may even be able to pop a Nexus, because that's a lot of DPS, especially when vultures deal full damage to shield. But BoA, he's aware of possibility of something like that happening, so he's got 3 goons in position. So this drop is not going to be successful, and he's going to be rerouted to somewhere else. Looks like maybe the 3rd base potentially.
Now, if this are 2 tanks and a lot of vultures with mine support, I think so this would actually get something done. But just with the lone tank, I don't think it'll be effective enough on its own.
Well, there's the drop, but it's only 1 tank, so really how much damage can it get done? There's only 4 goons here. He just instantly runs into the mine, and that's 2 goons. Well, okay, 1 tank for 2 goons. I think that's a fine trade, but he needs to make sure not to lose more than that. Almost another connection with those mines. There's no observer, so a bit of a dangerous situation there. And remember, Mihu was down 30 workers to 17. Now all of a sudden it's 49 to 45. So again, he's done a good job to stabilize. He's got his forefacts up and running. He's got his armory running. I realize he's way down in tech, but this is a manageable position because this is not an overwhelming amount of gateways.
He still has a dropship alive, so he can get some more harassment done here and there. He's working on his tech. He's gonna get double armory. He's gonna work on 2-1. Problem is, this arbiter is really fast. It's gonna have energy really quickly, could go for recalls, could have double stasis even by the time Mihu's ready to move out.
Yeah, and you know that the ramp is very tiny on Monopoly, so I would really like if he waits for all of the upgrades of the Arbiter, get the 250 energy, go for a recall, and then instantly try and stasis that ramp as Terran is desperately trying to get back to save his base. And that may be the go-to move for BoA. For now, he's decided that he just wants to continue to expand. He's going to take the other main at bottom left.
I'm looking at the forge from BoA. Yeah, it is spinning, so he is at least working on upgrades. Because one way for you to lose is just to get really bad fights because you don't have any upgrades. So I like that he's planning to at least work for the late game. Doesn't have solid speed quite yet. Of course, he had to remake the Citadel and the Archives because, well, the Citadel's unpowered and the Archives has been killed. 3rd command center from Mihu, and looks like he's just gonna play a longer game, not gonna go for any kind of timing this time around. But if we're looking at this Arbiter should actually already have, yeah, there it is. It has the stasis. He has a shuttle. He could probably stasis the high ground tanks,
yeah,
or maybe even Zealot drop them. And it looks like we're going for it.
Yep, he is moving in. He stasis 3 tanks and 2 vultures in the back. Goons and Zealots moving in. He's got a shuttle with a Zealot bomb loaded up. He's going to unload on those tanks on the high ground. The stasis is kind of working against him right now. The Goon's not able to get into the backline. Zealots have done a good job to get into the backline though, and it's just simply too much Protoss right now. The 4 Zealots on the high ground are doing a lot of damage too, but those Goons are bugging out. Barely those tanks are gonna survive for now, but there's still only 3 remaining.
Yeah, that stasis did such a good job blocking for Terran. It actually didn't help out. It's like BoA, well, not really gonna commit, I don't think. It would be pretty reckless. Well, it looks like with the stasis gone, it's giving him a window to pick off these front tanks, maybe.
Yeah, he's going to pick off those 3 tanks, as you mentioned. The Zealots are going to lose their lives, but getting 4 tanks, 3 tanks, almost. Okay, just 3. Now, that was not a worthwhile trade for BoA, and all of a sudden, worker advantage for Mihu. He doesn't have base advantage, of course, but he's got the heavy, powerful tanks. The Arbiter energy is no longer there, and like I stated before, BoA does not have an overwhelming amount of gates. This is a manageable position, especially on a map like Monopoly.
Yeah, and I think we have 2-1 about to be complete here for Mihu. He's adding additional factories. He's gonna try to take his third. I still think like this can be a little bit risky. He doesn't have that many tanks, especially if they're clumped up like this. One stasis can get rid of half of the tanks.
Oh, he's gonna go for it again. The vessel is out, but is it in time? There's not enough energy. If he can get those 3 tanks, and if he can combo another stasis, that might be more than enough to take down this small Terran army. But if you look at what Protoss has, I mean, it's not very big either. He lost an observer, which is a big deal because there's mines in the front. He cannot afford to lose his Zealots to just mines. And this may not actually be successful. There's so many mines set up. He's going to try and go for the throat anyways. That Arbor did not use its energy. It has 125. He could have had another stasis, but instead, this Arbor is just going to get picked. Oh no, it barely survives 1 hit.
He is at least doing a good job of slowing down Terran's third base. And looks like we have 1-1, 2-1. Oh, looks like +2 was actually forgotten for a bit there. And the stasis tank, they unfreeze, they're back in action. And Mihu has a supply lead now. Armies about equal. Upgrades, once that +2 kicks in, I think he will be ready to move out. And, well, BoA does have some gateways set up on the left side of the map, but again, only 7 in his main. Looks like he's going to get a second Stargate, get more Arbiters.
Well, the problem with this is that you look where Mihu's expanding. He's going to be able to defend this base while also having the ability to put pressure onto BoA's main. And he can obviously set up a Sim City. He's got a floating racks. He can even spam depots here. And if you actually want to attack Terran now, you have to go all the way through the bottom side to the left side and then back up again. And by then, Terran's going to have repositioned. So this is a nightmare scenario for BoA. He's going to have to rely on just simply having way more resources than Mihu, because Mihu's going to trade so effectively now. Or he needs to make something like this work. It's going to be a recall moving to the left side of the map, and there's almost no turrets. Look at the bottom side of Mihu's base. Maybe 2 turrets? Yeah, that's it. No mines either.
This could potentially even be a double recall. 2 Arbiters have 150 energy each. Where's the vessel? Is the vessel actually coming back? Looks like the vultures are repositioning. There's the vessel on its way.
Oh, that's the hurt Arbiter. The Goliath already doing a ton of damage. It is going to be a double recall. Here comes the one into the main, but mines are in position. Already blow up like 8 goons in an instant, and that's going to be 40 supply or so for BoA, instantly taken down.
And that second Arbiter, I don't think it's going to go recall now. So that was a very nice defense. And the majority of the army is still actually defending that new base. And Monopoly is a very difficult Protoss map because of this. You can't actually find good engagements out in the, like, there is no open. It's all corridors and narrow chokes. And if Mihu ever gets in a position where he could just advance a little bit further, take top right, he can suddenly start shelling those gateways on the left side of BoA's main, and it just becomes awkward for him. So I don't know how he's done it, but somehow Mihu has found himself yet again in an advantageous position against a Protoss despite a catastrophic opening.
Yeah, he's got his third base up and running. He's very low eco. His main's mined out, but he does still have his nat because he took it so late. He's still got his third base. Top right is going to be really hard for Mihu to take, simply because recall, obviously very, very strong. But mid left, he should be able to get that somewhat easily. But the problem for Mihu in this scenario is that even if he gets mid left, BoA's on 6 bases. He's going to be able to get 6 bases pretty easily, but it's going to be very hard for anybody to get a base afterwards because mid left's going to be hard, middle's going to be hard, top right's going to be hard. And Mihu finally feeling confident in his army, he's going to go for a death push here. He's got 2-1, and that's a massive power spike.
Yeah, and how does BoA actually engage this?
Yeah,
Oh, if he could get a stasis on those 2 vessels. Okay, looks like it's actually 3 vessels. But yeah, that's an EMP, and I mean, look how narrow this is. Protoss can't get a huge arc. It's very difficult to fight.
There's no way you can fight here. There's so many tanks. There's so many vultures. There's no stasis energy. He has 75. So this is going to be Mihu taking a fantastic engagement. Look how fast the Protoss army just melts. Terran's army almost didn't lose anything, and it's now he's on top of the gateway production too. He even has the vessel there for vision. So not only does he slam the army, now he can knock down 4 gateways pretty much in an instant. And look at that, BoA's army was over on the left side. He couldn't even engage if he wanted to. A big EMP hits like 7 goons there, so that's what, like 700 points of damage. Here comes reinforcements, but it's not synced up.
Critically, there's no storm in this fight. Like, the storm would make this fight look a little bit different if you could get some splash on these tanks. But it's like a huge rally coming out of these gateways, and it's like Mihu just barely gonna go hold on. But this isn't even Mihu's entire army.
It's not. And he's got 160 supply versus now sub 100. Mihu's done it in an almost impossible situation. You've got DTs in your base. You don't even have your E-base started, and somehow he recovers, and he's going to take game 3 from BoA, unless BoA has some type of miraculous comeback. But he just doesn't have any powerful units anymore. No Storm, no Arbiter, no Carriers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he can do here. Maybe because Mihu doesn't have any more mining, he can just whittle down the army slowly, but you can see these basically no tanks are getting engaged here.
He needs to do what John Hoon did yesterday versus Gypsy, is just recall over and over and over and over and make the game weird. Maybe he can make a comeback like that, but he's down 70 supply. The Arbiters aren't even in a good position for recall. I'm not even sure if he even has the energy for recall, but something like that could potentially get him back into the game. If he goes for stasis, I flat out don't think that's going to work. There's just too much of a supply lead for that to end up working out for him. I think he's obligated to go for recall here.
Yeah, good thing BoA has the left side bases, but now 6 is going to be under threat, and there's only 1 Zealot here. If this were a High Templar, maybe he could hold, but just 1 Zealot. Good targeting so the tanks don't splash each other. Maybe he'll recall and that small army to clean it up, but his options are really limited here.
Even if he saves the Nexus, all the probes die. So this is just a dire situation for BoA. He's now sub 50 probes. I would say 50 is kind of the minimum you need as Protoss. That is a recall. He'll save the base, but he's still in a very, very difficult position. Somehow, Mihu still hasn't taken a 4th base. Okay, actually he's rebuilt the 4th command center at mid-left, but he hasn't transferred any SUDs there, so not a lot of econ still for Mihu. He's mining on solely 1 base, and if BoA can actually knock down this task force of units, supplies will be decently close, maybe 175 to like 1 or 160 to like 130 or so, but good D matrix there and good EMP to maximize the amount of damage that the small army can do, and actually he's going to kill all of it.
Yeah, that turned out into a trade instead of just BoA cleaning it up. But like you said, supplies aren't terrible here. The problem is now there's an attack, and this is going to be another Nexus. It's going to be taken out.
Yep, and once this Nexus falls, it puts BoA on 2 base mining with limited probes at bottom middle. So BoA desperately needs to save this base, but he's just not able to. He just doesn't have the units. Finally, Mihu's going to transfer his SCVs from his NAT to his 4th bases, so he's going to have a big well of mineral income coming in pretty soon. Arbiters are moving into position. It's 3 of them. They have decent amounts of energy, but smartly, Mihu does not commit to pushing that base, and instead he's going to focus his attention back onto this bottom middle base.
And this all brings me back to last game, where despite Mihu being way behind, he just stays in the game and makes it difficult for Protoss. And even though he lost last game, I thought it was a good sign for him that he was able to fight back for so long. And this game, it actually looked even worse than the previous game, and somehow he managed to get himself a great position. Decent recall there. You can see BoA's doing his best. It's only 1 tank here, but the mech is so well upgraded, it's not going to matter. And with that D-Matrix, the tank can't even be killed.
Yeah, it's just crazy. You look at the army and you're like, okay, well, that's a dead army. And then you see the fight happen, and somehow all of Protoss' army blows up. Meanwhile, it looked like maybe Mihu lost like 2 Goliaths, and that's it. The tanks are still alive, and that's a dead base. And now, sub 100 supply for BoA. It's just a matter of time now until that GG comes out, and that's going to put BoA down 2-1 in the series, and you absolutely cannot be down versus someone like Mihu. He is just the master of TVP.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how he does it.
I don't either. I look at it and I'm like, how big of a lead do you need? Honestly, like, it was a massive lead. 30 probes to 17 SCVs. You're mining basically almost perfect saturation. Well, not perfect saturation, but you're getting close to that after just even 2 or 3 more cycles of probes versus a guy that's on 1 base mining. I just don't know what else you need to do to actually kill him. It seems like if you don't get the killing blow, you have to have like a really high-tech unit like carriers, because he's just going to camp, get his bases, and max out like this and have the most effective trades I've probably ever seen a Terran have.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of the games that he doesn't win outright, an attack fails, or he ends up behind, he still makes it a struggle for Protoss to win. I'm thinking back to like BSL finals last season, where DeWalt also had proxy GTs, also did a lot of damage, but didn't kill Mihu, and the game turned into like a 35-minute game, despite the massive advantage Protoss had. So if you don't get the kill, if you don't see the GG, no matter what advantage you have, it seems like Mihu is gonna make you fight for it.
Yeah, and this is it. This is the killing move right here. He's on top of the only mining base of BoA. This is heartbreaking for him because he probably felt like he had it. I thought he had it. I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat thought he had it, but not the case. GG any moment now. But I think it's a last-ditch recall to top left. You see an Arbiter moving over there, but the army's tiny. There's no army that can ever stop Mihu's sizable army in the bottom side. And in fact, recall's not even gonna get off. There's GG. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. 2-1 lead for Mihu after a disaster opening. He saw everything, and he misread it. It can't be a better situation for BoA. In fact, the mines in front of the natural, he avoided those too. I don't know what else you need.
It was the perfect opening for BoA, and didn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. And honestly, if I'm Mihu, I feel like, okay, if I just survive, I can't lose. It's just impossible. That's what I'm thinking, at least. And for BoA's point of view, I have to say, it seems like Templars and Arbiters just don't work. So I'm hoping, if we go in Game 4, I hope to see Carriers, because you know the guys skipping upgrade. Carriers are fantastic versus players that skip upgrades. It seems like that's your only option, because he has Vessels, he has EMP, he has good recall defense, he has mines everywhere. Well, Carriers don't care about any of that. That seems to be one way, potentially, BoA could put a win on the board.
Yeah, because it seems on the ground, no matter what Protoss has, Mihu is going to get a good engagement. So maybe just flip it, get an advantage, and go Carriers, because that's one of the ways that another way Terran really struggles is just if they're behind and Protoss is going Carriers, they don't have any options. It's not like okay, I'm just gonna get good fights here. Carriers are the one that get good fights. Carriers are way more cost efficient than Arbiter, Gateway Man. So that could definitely be an option. But this is hypotheticals where Protoss ends up ahead. And
Yeah.
if it's an even game, what can he do? This is
Yeah.
looking more and more difficult the longer the series goes on.
Yeah, and Mihu is someone that, ramps up his factories pretty fast. It goes into 4-factor, 5-factor. So you can't just go straight carrier versus him. Because when he scans it, well, first off, he was attacking anyways. But now he's going to go even harder on the attack. And BoA's going to risk his life on Butter. Let's see if he can do it, or is Mihu again going to be moving on into the round of 4? In the top right, down to 1, it is BoA.
And in the bottom right, Mihu.
Yeah, so this is another 2-player map. You know for sure Mihu's going to be scouting his natural for potential proxy gate. We see no fast probe scouting or fast pylon in the center of the map or anywhere from BoA, so it is just going to be another normal opener. Now you're the Protoss player here. Where do you think it went wrong for BoA? Like, what was he missing? Because he's up 13 probes. Like, how could he possibly allow Mihu to come back? Is it because he kept attacking? Should he have powered harder? What was it that did him in, you think?
Everything looked good. DTs got in, did damage. Dragoons denied the natural for a very long time. Their drop defense wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. Looks like this is going to be a gas steal from BoA. I think it all came down to the first fight. So he stasis those front tanks. Then he gets on top of the ramp with the Zealots. Zealots do a lot of damage, kill all the tanks. And it actually looked really good even then for BoA. But then the longer that actual engagement went on, the worse it started to get. The Dragoons couldn't get up close. He lost all the Zealots. Dragoons just kind of bled out. Yeah. But even then, even from that position, I was like, okay, this is still good for Protoss. They have 4 bases. They're taking another main. Terran is still stuck on 2. Upgrades aren't that great yet. But then there was another attack in that same position once those tanks unfroze, where he got 3 tanks. And he lost like the majority of his ground army. And supplies actually equalized, and Mihu had superior SCV count. He's going to take his third, and his upgrades were actually getting better. I think that's when it flipped, because up until that point, like, say that first fight, if he had stasis the high ground tanks and then drop the shuttle on the tanks in the back, then you would have been able to clean up the tanks in the front, and then that completely looks different. Like, the natural might get busted there, but it was just it's razor thin. It's like decision makings that are really what hurt BoA there, but it all looked good up until those 2 fights basically.
Yeah, I agree. And we did see Probe snipe an SCV. Marine ended up getting revenge there and snipes that Probe as it's exiting. Now, something I just want to point out, if you guys rewatch the VOD, I pointed out earlier, when the Probe harasses your racks and does not instantly go for that gas steal, a lot of times it's proxy gate somewhere. If you replay this VOD, watch where the Probe went. It went directly to that gas. It's a little secret for you Terran players out there that are worried about proxies and stuff. Definitely pay attention to probe movement, because we see went straight to the gas. Look at it, no proxy gates this time around. And we do see that it is a fast Nexus follow-up, and behind this it is going to be gasless expand from Mihu, of course, since he got gas stolen. A second probe gets picked off, and that's a big deal, because now 4 Marines are going to move across the map, and he may commit to this. He knows that there's not a lot of defense for BoA right now. But he may get caught, because first Zealot's going to be out, and Goons, even though they take a while to build, they are faster than Marines, and they will catch them, and they will kill them.
Yeah, but these Marines are moving across the map. SCV there to support. No bunker was made, but these Marines can actually kill the Zealot pretty easily, and maybe force a probe pool here.
He needs a bunker. Okay, if he's not going to build a bunker, he's going to be forced to fight. These Marines have done a good job to whittle down the health of the Zealot, though. But is this bunker too late? The first goon is going to pop out, but that's a good Sim City from the bunker and the few Marines. First probe falls. Good stutter step micro from the Marines. Zealot is still alive, though, dishing out a lot of damage. Second goon pops out, and this is going to be a denied bunker unless one Marine gets in, but really how much DPS can it deal? This is going to be a limited amount of damage, and that's a lot of resources to spend into this bunker push.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's actually committing more units being sent across the map. I felt like just forcing the probe pull was good enough, and yeah, looks like he's gonna retreat now. Had he just like canceled that bunker and traded for the Zealot and the probe pull, I think Mihu would have been in a great position because he invested all of those resources. So I think that BoA ended up ahead there.
Yeah, and I like BoA's position now. He's instantly counterattacking with the 3 goons, and he's constantly having to rebuild the Marines, which is resources you don't want to be spending into Marines, obviously. SCV is going to get taken down. Every SCV matters. He's going to 2-shot one of the Marines. Oh, it barely gets loaded up. Now, BoA needs to scramble to save these goons, and he will. Range is going to be kicking in pretty soon, and this is 4 goons, so that bunker will get shelled down very quickly if Mihu's not paying attention.
But look at the worker count. It's already a big advantage to Mihu somehow.
It's crazy just how consistently ahead in workers he is. Like, he had the Nexus faster. I realized he had to pull his probes at the map because of the bunker, but he's just done a flat-out better job at building his workers compared to BoA. Now it's slightly caught up for Protoss because Terran's cutting right now. Now it's going to be 34 to 32. First tank is out, though. Should push this back. There's a dangerously low goon on both the right side and the left side. One falls down.
Turret going up, and this is double factory from Mihu. Reaver here for BoA. Shuttle's already done. Looks like he's gonna take a third. Now he's gonna take the high ground third, right? Is that just a scouting pylon or something? No, it's a Nexus. So not the usual third you see on Butter.
Yeah, it's gonna be the high ground third base. It's gonna make it a little bit easier for him to defend it because he's gonna have high ground advantage. However, well, maybe not though, because if you look at the pathway the tank would take to the right side of the map, BoA's going to be choked up coming through that bridge, so he's going to have to rely on heavy shuttle play if he wants to defend that area of the map. And you know an attack is coming because it's Mihu, of course. For now, it's 2-fact production. It's pure tanks, typical Mihu play. Now we're seeing the first couple vultures get out onto the map, and is he really just going to attack with 5 tanks? Looks like he is.
All right, so 5 tanks with non-stop vulture reinforcement, actually going for siege and not speed. And we're gonna have a Reaver. The Reaver is already in production, but this push is already marching across the map. There's a Reaver finally, and BoA doesn't have any information. Doesn't know that this is coming. Can he intercept the army with the shuttle is what's key here.
Yeah, he needs to, and he does. Good reaction time from him. He doesn't take very much damage from the Marines. Mines are being set up. And the tank count is really not that big. It's at 5, which is decent. But you really start dishing out the damage when you get up to something like 9 tanks. That's when it gets exceptionally scary. But the goon count, not that high either. So if he can set up a push with this turret and tank combo... Oh, he needs to siege, though. There's the siege. Zell's going to unload. Reaver's going to unload. He needs to focus that down. He almost does. That's a big shot from the Reaver, though, but it falls. Does not get a second connection. And 4 tanks remain on the high ground. All the goons are going to fall. And Mihu's going to continue his push.
And it's only 3 gates, and the second Reaver is still quite a way away. 2 tanks still alive. They do have siege mode, but there's more stuff being rallied across the map. And I mean, unfortunate for Mihu, the SCV went down, because if he started adding turrets here, this could all of a sudden become very obnoxious. And it looks like he actually went to check the third base, so the fact that it's not there actually helping out BoA a ton, because that would be a Nexus that would be getting shelled right now.
Yeah, and Mihu has no intel on what BoA is doing, so seeing that there's no second or third Nexus, he may be thinking, okay, well, this guy's just all in. He's not going to commit more to this push, because if you're running into 8 gate on 2 base, well, I mean, 2 factories are strong, but they're not going to beat 8 gate. So he may be content with just trading as effectively as he can with what he has, and just keep the rest of his units back in his main, or at least keep his tanks back in his main. He's ramping up the production. He's at 5. Another pylon falls. Zealot bomb and Reaver bomb coming into the tanks again. This time around, he kills the tank in an instant, and actually, Mihu is content with sending more units across the map.
This is only going to be 3 tanks though, and BoA, you can see he's actually cutting a lot of probes yet again, and this will allow him to get a lot of units out really quickly. Speed is not done, y'all. And 3 tanks, still not scary. Like the potential contain here is not that scary. Now we have double Reaver, and this will one-shot any tanks that get caught off guard.
Yeah, but his main is open. The pylon was taken down, so Vultures run in. And now the Reaver is obligated to help out in this fight, but where does he land? There's mines everywhere. There's not that many tanks, but there's a bunker there too. He's going to try and save the Vultures or save the probe line, but he's already lost like 5 or 6 probes. The Scarabs are not connecting. The mineral line is just not allowing the Scarabs to get into the back line. All of the probes end up dying, and now it's 35 workers to 55, and there's just no econ anymore for BoA.
Wow, that one mistake to let that Vulture run by occur is really costing BoA the game here, because now he's basically just going to sack the Nat and go for a counter, but Mihu has ample time here. No, it looks like he doesn't actually have any units. There's the Goon and double Reaver. 2 tanks pop up. He really needs to keep these back at home.
Yeah, I guess it could go into a base trade scenario, but the Vultures intercept the Goons, so he will keep those tanks back. There's a turret already set up. There's nothing in the bunker. Needs to just lay some mines, and he should be fine. He's breached the Nat. Reaver's going to unload. We don't know if that was the hurt one that went down first, but we do know that both Reavers just popped. And with tanks and mines in position, this is going to be 7 Goons just forced to sit outside the base, and they can't do anything. Meanwhile, Nat is dead. We know Mihu definitely has scans, so the DT should get cleaned up pretty soon. He has the energy, so I imagine he's going to kill it pretty soon. For now, the D2 has done work. It's gotten 4 Vulture kills. Really good DT drop right there, taking out, well, I almost got a tank, but in the end, it doesn't connect, and now it's a 50 supply lead. And BoA, he's just moments away from taking this series 3-1. Or Mihu, I mean.
Yep, Natural been killed. The DTs will buy him some time, but as soon as Mihu sees the third, he's just going to go there and kill that base.
Yeah, there's just not enough units for Protoss on the map. The contain is unbreakable. There's 5 tanks, mines, bunker, turrets. As soon as a unit pops out, you see the Goon just instantly die.
And even with Reaver, like, he just hit at the perfect timing yet again. Got a good engagement. Like, the first Reaver shuttle Zealot engagement against the tanks is absolutely critical. You can't lose the Reaver, and the control from Mihu was just too good.
Yep, 3 Goons and a Dream, and unfortunately that Dream is a nightmare. Here comes Zealots and DT in the back. DTs get scanned. Goodbye DT. Goodbye Goons on the high ground. And this is going to be it right here. There's nothing left. I mean, BoA has no army. Third base is going to get taken down. He's going to continue to reinforce here, but he doesn't have anything to drop. Okay, he drops a DT, getting a couple swipes in, a couple kills. 2 tanks fall, 3 tanks maybe, but it doesn't even matter. The army is still massive, and finally the scans come in. He's going to clean up the DTs, but now the third is wide open. Vultures could run in and wreak havoc on this probe line.
Yeah, and behind this, just more reinforcements from Mihu. He's actually floating a ton of money. Good. Probably throw down another command center. Looks like with the Reaver, he will actually be able to clean this up.
Yeah, and Mihu has forgotten about a small army on the left side. Really good crisis management here with the Reaver and DT play. He's gotten a lot of value, specifically out of the DTs, but he's still down 50 supply. The pylon wall is going to fall pretty soon. That's going to open up that side of the third base, Vultures will be able to run in. Again, Mihu still has missed the units on the left side of the map. He's queuing up a lot of Vultures. I don't think it matters, but he does need to get another base, and it looks like that is what he's doing. Meanwhile, BoA has taken his nat again. Finally, he's going to clean up this army. Maybe? No?
Or is he?
Yeah.
Just relentless pressure here from Mihu. Well, doing his best to stay alive and actually doing a pretty good job of at least cleaning up the units that were at the contain and shelling his third. But the supply advantage is just too great here for Mihu. And he's actually following us up with a still no third, but I did see he had +1, and I think he started the science facility, so he will get further upgrades, and there's +2 on the way. Third commander finally planted.
Well, if BoA had something like 40 probes right now, I would say Mihu needs to be a bit careful because he is not having the best trades right now. And supplies, if you take out the difference in workers, I mean, the army is still quite even. Oh my god, how does that connect? Just goes straight past the Zealot and connects onto the goons. And now finally, it looks like BoA's back has been broken. The third base has been breached. The probes have to transfer to the natural. Got to give it up. And now all BoA can do is really go for a counterattack. The third base is 100% gone.
But good attempt here from BoA. He knows this is, if he loses this game, he's out of this tournament. So fighting on as best as he can. And this is Mihu finally retreating, and he's just probably going to regroup, probably get another upgrade. He knows he's killed 2 Nexuses this game. He should be content with that. No reason to keep on the pressure and keep trading away small units, small group of units.
Yeah, he knows he has this game. Just needs to make sure there's no catastrophe where he somehow loses all of his tanks.
You know, the only way Mihu could lose this game was if BoA had somehow had like 2 Stargates at 9 o'clock, making carriers this entire time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's not a single Goliath. There's no anti-air. But now, Mihu has his third base going. BoA's going to try and take a fourth base, but look at the probe count. It's just non-existent. He's not even going to be able to saturate that third base, really. Meanwhile, Mihu getting closer and closer to max. He's sitting at 150 supply. He's got the vessel, so DTs can't even be a threat anymore. Arbors, if they were somehow a possibility, can't be a threat anymore. And +2 is about to kick in. So, Death March coming in. Reavers unload. They get not very good connections. That was really good control on the Vultures, sending them back. First Reaver falls. This is it. See, y'all see, this is going to be the final stand.
Yeah. BoA gonna go for it, trying to break. There's not that many tanks, but again, there's not that much Protoss either. Reaver gonna unload, maybe get 1 Scarab, not even, and gets. And there's the GG finally from BoA.
Yep, there is the GG. Valiant effort from BoA, but in the end, the Chinese Terran Mihu, he's too strong, and he's showing us why he was the champion last season. Simply no Protoss player has an answer to his timings. None. Nobody has been able to take him down. And he is just looking so good going into the round of 4.
Yep, and that'll actually set us up for a rematch from last season's round of 4. In fact, this season's round of 4 is exactly like last, except instead of Gypsy, we have who do we have?
Danhoon.
Yeah, the Protoss Danhoon. And I mean, it's gonna be exciting, but at least against Protoss, Mihu just looks unbeatable.
Yeah, I just don't understand how the Protoss players just can't come up with an answer to him. Like, it's not like he does anything different. It's the same thing every time. Maybe the timing is slightly different, like he attacked with 5 tanks this time. But they just have no answer to it. None. There's no answer. The only times that I've seen Protoss beat Mihu was in the show match after BSL, where you don't even know if Mihu's playing his full style or if he's experimenting different styles. In a show match that doesn't really matter. But when BSL is running, he's definitely pulling out all the stops and nobody can beat him. Even John Hoon, who faced off versus him, what was it, in round of 16? I mean, he had an amazing position versus Mihu, and he still lost on Good Night. Kind of similar to how BoA lost on Monopoly. So it's just, I don't know. I just don't know what you do to beat this guy, TVP.
Yeah, I don't either. Dawid's gotten closest in the BSL show match. Before BSL 14, it was 4-3 in Mihu's favor. That's about as close as it's been. But other than that, Mihu just crushes every Protoss opponent. I think he's beaten BoA, now TT1 last season, the wall as well. He even beat Bonif in a show match. Just no Protoss has been able to take him out.
Well, it sets us up for exciting semifinals. We've got DeWalt versus John Hoon in the top side. It's a PvP. We already saw John Hoon take out Bonif earlier, and that was pure outplay. Better micro, better macro. He took bases in PvP. Like, he just completely outplayed Bonif. And now he's going to be going up versus DeWalt, who is very good, just like Bonif, of course. But if DeWalt has the same follies where he's not keeping up in the macro, eventually John Hoon's gonna overrun him. So this is gonna be an exciting matchup. I'm looking very forward to seeing that one. But then on the other side, Mihu versus Ziki. This is gonna be great because this is actually a rematch from last season. I don't know if it was round of 16 or what it was, but Mihu versus.
It was round of 4 as well.
Was it versus Ziki?
Yeah.
Okay, round of 4. So it's a rematch exactly from last season, Mihu versus Ziki. The one game that stands out to me in the Mihu versus Ziki series was, again, I don't think it was Monopoly, but there was another map where Mihu just sat outside Ziki's base the entirety of the game, similar to what John Hoon did earlier, where he just built vessels nonstop and just irradiated all day, every day.
I remember that game. It was on Good Night, and he just kept fighting well. Like, he did the tank vessel timing, and his tanks just never died, and one tank had like 18 kills by the end of the attack, and Ziki just couldn't break out ever. And one difference I'm actually noticing now from this season's round of 4 is that we're actually gonna have best of 7s in the semifinals. It's not gonna be best of 5. We're gonna get that extra potential 2 games, which, I mean, it makes things more exciting in my opinion.
Yeah, less volatility and also no vetoes. You don't like Metaverse? Too bad. You're going to have to play it. You're going to have to learn how. Oh, and you know what that also sets us up for?
We might actually see Turbine.
It's not a might. We have to see it. We have to see it. So finally, we're going to get to see the reason why all these Zerg players do not want to play Turbine. I've had so many people tell me it's unplayable for Zerg. So I really want to see what Ziki comes up with now. But yeah, that's it for us today, guys. Very exciting games. 3-1 for both of the series. Ziki moves on. Mihu moves on. And that means we gotta thank our sponsors, Esport Fund and Optimunk, the main sponsors of the BSL. And then, of course, we have our Patreon supporters at the $100 level, Star Lover, $50 level, Anthony Chen, Martin Harsmar, Striker, Zero Sum, $50 level, Robert Groot, Flizzardo, 86, Cuz, and Tupacalypse. Bombastic Major, $20 level, Nicholas Schuler, Christian Eddington, LML, Lincoln Pump 9, Tech, and Quark. And all you other Patreon supporters, thank you so much for supporting the BSL. Remember, $10 support or above, you get all the replays of the BSL. And maybe you'll be able to figure out how Mihu can be stopped TVP. Analyze his replays, man, and let me know, because he just can't lose this matchup. Of course, we've also got our race championship. Definitely tune in. It's on Thursdays and Fridays. Protoss got a big lead in the beginning, but Zerg has made a massive comeback. I think they've got 12 points right now. Protoss only at maybe 15 or so. Terran kind of struggling down at 10 points, but I know the Terran squad can make a comeback. And I think that's it, Seriosity. You got any final words?
Nope. Looks like we're about set up to have the round of 4 next weekend. But again, everyone tune in on Trovo for those race championship matches. We can see a lot of the top foreigners participate. True Touch, Avi Love Ziki on the Zerg team, Hawk, Babo, and then of course even Nyokin himself representing Team Terran alongside Dandy, Terra Ultra, and Team Protoss. No surprise that they're in the lead, but it's actually the gap has been narrowed. Team Zerg slowly, quickly catching back up, and that's on Thursday nights for those of you in the in the US, and I think Friday afternoons, like at 1 or 2 p.m. I'm not really sure with all the time changes, but please tune in for that. And then next week, of course, round of 4, and well, look forward to that. BoA, can he go back into another BSL Finals? Mihu, the champ, defending his crown, another rematch, and yeah, just everything's very exciting.
Yeah, so think. Huh? What was that, Zero? Oh yes. Oh yes, Zero's pointing out that those are the last 2 casts of the BSL actually, because it's a round of 4, and then the next week after that we're gonna have the finals and the semifinals. So you guys, you see our goal up here. We're about halfway to BSL 15. If you want to see it happen, we definitely need some more support here. So definitely consider making a donation, whether it's at the end of this cast or in the next few or the next 2 casts, really, because that's all that's remaining. So definitely consider supporting the BSL if you like what you see. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week with the round of 4.